All right, well, welcome to another episode of Sweeter After Difficulty. I am Randy Highsmith, and I'm so happy to have you here. We have the amazing Jordan Lopez and Chris Anderson with us, as always. And today we are going to jump into some awesome topics. We have a great quote that we're going to be jumping into. But before that, exciting new announcement. If you haven't already heard, maybe you're already listening on the platform, but the Sweeter After Difficulty podcast is now on Spotify. So go check it out. Like it, subscribe, share it out, let everybody know. Let us know how you like it. What do you like about the platform? How's it working? How are things looking? All your feedback is super amazing, and we're using it to try to make this show better and better every week. So we're going to not kill a lot of time at the beginning here. We're going to jump right in. I'm going to kick it over to the Quote Master General himself, Jordan Lopez, to get us started. Jordan?
All right, so today I got a Charles Bukowski quote. It's "Find what you love and let it kill you."
Yeah. And in case no one out there is picking up on a theme here, Jordan has a very specific outlook on life. But no, what amazing quote. Say that one more time, just in case anybody out there missed it.
So yeah, it's from a poet and an author that I really like. Yeah, Charles Bukowski. The quote is "Find what you love and let it kill you."
Find what you love and let it kill you. So let's break that into subject and predicate. Let's split it into two and start with finding what you love. And I think this is an interesting topic because, you know, I didn't really find what I loved until a lot later in my life. What do you think it is that lets you know that you actually love something versus just really enjoying something?
Yeah. Well, I think though too, like maybe before we even get that deep, like maybe defining kind of what love is, right? Because like the older I get, the more I'm realizing kind of more and more like I'm telling more and more people that I love them and that I care about them. And it's like when you're younger, you're like, yeah, well, I love that guy. Like, but I'm in my 40s now, and it's like, no, it's people who are important to you. I want them to know that they're important to me, and it's important to me to verbalize that to them and to let them know that they're kind of like in that group or in that circle of friends versus just like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, like. So I think defining it that way is an important kind of step in the process.
And I think like so much when we're growing up, you learn about, oh, this term is or love is somehow like a scarce resource, right? Like because you need to protect it and you shouldn't say it too often. And I think that shouldn't
Yeah.
imply that it's a scarce resource. It just implies that it's important. And I think like I think I kind of agree with what you're saying. Like now in our 40s, you're like, it's okay to have that for a lot of things or a lot of people, as long as
Yeah.
you stay true to the notion of what it is that you're supporting, what it is you're aligned with, what it is that you like about it.
Yeah. So I guess that then it comes down to we learn the concept of love from a young age, like we learn everything else, right? Our parents hopefully tell us they love us, and we associate that with feelings that we feel when they're around or when they're doing things for us or with us. Um, but there are different types of love then, right?
Hmm.
Like like you've got that sort of familial friendship love where you have that sort of those feelings of affection and you would sacrifice and you would do whatever you need for them. Then you have sort of that romantic love, right? Where you feel the feeling of being in love with someone. And then of course there's like sexual love, which is, you're sharing energy and pouring into each other that way. Um, so when we talk though about finding what we love and letting it killing us or letting it kill us, what does that say? What I guess what I'm trying to get at is that something we go look for? Like when he says find, maybe that's where we should start, right? Maybe we broke it only into two chunks, but the word find is is more important, because that implies that there has to be some effort in looking for something. What do
It's
you think
turning
about
into
that?
like my English class from college.
And philosophy mixed all into
All
one.
right. I love it. I love it.
Well, it seems like an active thing, right? Like you're finding what you love and then letting it, and then buying in, kind of a thing. Like it's a multi-step kind of process. And you can be hobbies, it can be family, it can be passions, it can be all the above. And it kind of goes back to the other quote we've been talking about, like, I don't fear death, but a life unlived. And it's like you can kind of blend those two together. You're like, I want to find those things and let it kill me, and I don't want to live. I don't want to live fully doing it, kind of a thing. And it's a quote on a quote. But
Sure.
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
but
Inception,
yeah,
quote Inception.
yeah, quote.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of these things. It's like I think it has to be an active thing. I think so many people live so passively, and they're trying to find other people who are also active in that perspective, and then kind of
Right.
building from there.
I mean, it's a
Because
beautiful
sometimes
quote in
you
this.
you you stumble onto things like
Hmm.
on accident that you're not looking for, right? That's not really, I mean, that would still be considered finding it,
Yeah.
right? Right, because you technically did find it, you just weren't seeking it.
Yeah, I mean, that is exactly how I relate it to jujitsu, right? Like I wasn't seeking out a combat sport per se, but it happened to be that that was the thing that I was going to try out that day. And I
Hmm.
think like if you take the quote and you're trying to like identify like, okay, well, how can I find what I love? Like looking at the quote at large, like it's a very unfiltered and authentic statement on the
Hmm.
whole. And if you take that authenticity and apply it to just that verb find, like go out and search. Like it's not something that will just happen to you. Like the notion is that you must have direct intent. I want to go find something. Like I'm not just going to let it happen to me. I'm not going to fall over backwards and happen to land in the thing that I'm passionate about.
Hmm.
Right. It's the difference between throwing a single line into a pond on a bobber and taking a nap, or actively working a net, where you have a
Yeah,
much more likely chance of catching,
right,
what you're looking for.
right.
Yeah. And I also, I mean, we're going to get into it, but I also, initially, the word kill was what stuck out to me. I don't, sometimes it just lights up that way, but I wasn't thinking of it in terms of uh, like letting it destroy you. I was thinking of it sort of in the way that time will eventually kill us all, and find that thing that you love and write it until it's done, right?
Hmm.
Interesting.
Until you can't, until life takes you naturally, like it will. Enjoy that thing, love that thing until you can't. So yeah, I mean, super interesting with the idea of finding something intentionally or finding something on accident. Um, and obviously, we're all very into the intentional looking and finding. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you know when that thing you found is worth dying for, or killing yourself for?
well, and how many examples have we seen of people that really latched onto something that they thought they loved, and then watch it just actually drain the life out of them, right?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
but no, you're absolutely right. It's crucial that and I think that so maybe that speaks more to the idea of finding, or the concept of it. Um, Something can stumble on into your path accidentally that can change the course for you, but you have to choose to pick it up or to just walk around it at the same token, right?
I think it's I think about it like if we're gonna like you were talking about like oh okay how do we find it like love and then you described like different categories of relationships or different like ways that we can experience love and I think if you like boil it down it does deal somewhat with a relationship, right? Like when you love a hobby, for instance, there is still a relationship. It's still a two-way street, even though it's not a human thing, right? You're not in a relationship with another person, but what are you getting back from that hobby
Yeah.
that leads to self-improvement or growth or joy or all of those other things that a loving relationship can provide? And so the question of like, well, how do you know? Because it's easy to feel like you love a hobby. Oh man, art. I love drawing. It's great. Fantastic. What is it giving back to you? right? And I think about like physical fitness. What is it giving back to me that causes me to love it? I feel healthier. I feel more alive. I feel passionate about going out and seeking relationships in communities that also have that similar experience, right? Like that is okay, that's how I love it. Whereas if it was like artwork, I think it's beautiful and I could try to, color in the numbers or whatever, like color by numbers. I
Right.
know that I don't have a skill for it, but I also, when I tried it when I was younger, like it didn't give anything back to me the way that maybe physical fitness or philosophy or jujitsu does.
What do you think about this idea? So as I'm fixated a little bit on the word kill here because another idea just popped up into my head, and it relates to what you were just saying, Chris. So what do you think about this idea? I have actually in my life described the transformation in my life as having killed my old self. If you think about finding something you love and letting it kill who you were so that you can become who you're supposed to be, how does that change how we take that sentence?
I love that. I mean, I'm on this like humility kick lately. And Jordan, I think you'll get a kick out of this one. I saw a quote that said something about, you never truly get humility unless you killed your ego. And so, Randy, when you're saying like, killing the old version of yourself, um, I have a very like set of distinct memories in recent history just from the process of going through jujitsu, where I have gained a sense of humility that I never would have had, I think, before walking in that door. And
Yeah.
I feel like that transformation is directly the result of I loved this sport. I was interested in it from day one, and I started feeling what it gave back to me, and it was the sense of humility. Like I'm not who I thought I was, and that began the process of like killing the ego per se, and that it just keeps on giving. Like that hobby, that sport, that experience, that community, these relationships, it just keeps giving. So I think that's a really astute observation, like killing the old self or maybe the bad parts of yourself or the parts of yourself that you want to see changed.
Yeah. There's a really good actually essay on this, written by the author Jack Donovan. It's called "All Training is Sacrifice," and it kind of boils down to like sacrificing parts of yourself, or like old growth to new growth, kind of a thing. And he equates it to like the study of Odin in the ancient Germanic and Nordic stuff, where he would do certain things and sacrifice certain parts of himself to gain access to like knowledge and wisdom and stuff like that. So much of like hubris is lost because or is taken away because of that sacrifice. And it is, yeah, a huge part of getting better. Like how much of what we do, like to be open to look like an idiot for a long time in jiu-jitsu to get any kind of good at it, right? But
Well, and
it's like
if you
walking in that.
I think sometimes about like, to take a look back in the rear view and I think, man, all those times that I thought I actually sounded smart, I actually sounded like an idiot anyway. Um, you know, time reveals the fools in all of us, right? Eventually. But I think that I think it's such a broad idea, the killing of the old self anyway, or cutting the parts off that are less important for the sake, like pruning a tree, right? Cutting off branches so that the next season it can grow bigger and
Es
uh,
especially in adulthood too. Like, how often we do things that
Yeah.
we look like an idiot for a long time. Like, as a kid, who cares? Like, as an adult, like, walking in, that's a big deal.
no, it's true, and I think that's an interesting point that we don't talk about and we don't think about a lot, right? Is the longer, and I tell this to my kids all the time, the longer you use an idea as a foundation, the more likely it is that you're not going to ever break away from that specific thing, right? Unless there's something horrible happens, which God forbid, or you find something that you love
Mhm.
and you let it kill you, right? I mean, it's like a perfect way to plug that in, especially with the conversations we've had about ideas and how they they take root and then eventually become those foundations for your life.
Mhm.
In a This quote really gives you the perspective that I still have that choice. It
Yeah.
may be harder to make the longer I wait, but I still have the option to make that choice. Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
And
interesting concept.
I think the other part of that you're kind of like alluding to a little bit too is like what would the inverse of this quote look like? And why would that not be something that we would align to? Like, so just let a bunch of stuff happen to you and hope you get lucky and love one of them. And then just see what happens. Right? Like it's unintentional. And I think that's what's so cool about this is like if you lived a life absent of passion and purpose, that's kind of what like the opposite of this quote would be. Like this
Yeah,
all
or
about like
maybe have a life without passion and purpose unintentionally and live with it.
right.
You know,
Good luck
like
to you, you know?
God, how
It's like
Yeah.
horrible does that sound?
yeah, being a driver versus being a passenger.
Yeah,
Sure, sure.
absolutely. And it takes a whole bunch of different forms.
Yeah. Yeah, geez. What a fascinating what a fascinating idea, right? Just so deep and so meaningful. And then instantly my mind is just flooded with examples of both of those things, right? Where like a kid found what they love and then they had this life, their whole life they just got to do what they loved and they had a great life, or people that I've known that have never found what they love,
Yeah,
and die that way. Um
absolutely. I mean, I consider myself extremely fortunate to have found a handful of things that I love enough that I would let it kill me. Like I pursue it with energy and passion, but I'm
Mhm.
also readily aware that that's perhaps not a very common experience.
I definitely agree with that. Why do you think that is?
Perhaps anecdote, right? Like I know people in my life, whether it's personal or professional, who toil and then they say, my toil seems to lack direction or it seems to lack purpose. And then that creates kind of some momentum in negativity where they're like, well, I'm locked into this box, I'm locked into this job that I don't like, and I'm stuck there and it's gonna kill me. And I hear that frequently. And I think there's also maybe what it means is that like this quote implies a personal challenge as well. Like the notion of find isn't necessarily like we shouldn't take for granted how hard that process is, right? Like it's going to be difficult to go out and find the thing that you love and to find the thing that you love so much that is going to kill you. And we
Or at
shouldn't
least
take
at the very least it may be, right? Like you have to
sure.
be prepared that it can be.
Right, right. And that you're gonna swing and miss a lot.
Do you think that so I've been thinking about this a lot lately too, especially in this age of, social media rose, in our time and became what it came and then its horns popped out and everybody was like, but we're all still plugged into it, and then AI comes around and it's sort of shifting and changing um how we even interact with each other socially, what we think about as important or as carrying worthy purpose for our lives. It doesn't even feel like the generations that have come after us are even thinking about those things, right? It's just like, how do I satisfy what I'm entitled to right now for forever, I guess, because I'm not thinking about it. Even in the next moment, I'm not thinking about it. Um, is that you think that's accurate, or do you think that that's sort of tunnel vision down one lane of it? Have you felt that shift? Have you felt the differences in the generations?
I definitely think so. I mean, as a parent, I see it. I'm a parent of elementary school age kids. I see it. I think that it lowers the bar perhaps for meaningful social interaction, lowers the bar perhaps for um, seeking, finding, and validating information, and seeking and finding your passions. I mean, it's cheap dopamine. It's a proxy for our own humanity in a way.
Yeah, because I feel like I've got an analogy from when I was a kid. I started playing music around the time I was 15. I picked up a guitar and I actually switched over to bass guitar. And I absolutely, when you talk about find something you love, the first note I ever played on a bass guitar changed who I am as a person inside,
Mm.
right? Like it's different. I'm a different person after I played that note at 15. Like it just how it felt, what it said, what it said I could do. Um it absolutely changed me. But over the course of, you know, learning to play music, you start not knowing anything. You start by playing songs that other people wrote. So you're playing cover songs and you're learning how to figure it out because it's already established, right? You can go, I know that if I can play this and it sounds exactly like that I have reached a certain level of proficiency. You sort of gauge yourself on those terms. The I guess for me, I wonder, has that gone away? Like it feels like the content that's being consumed now is not a person playing it so that you can emulate it. It's you watching a person emulate a person playing a version of somebody else's song. Like at this point, it's not even the
It's
song,
like a
right?
fun
It's down,
house.
and I mean, I've actually heard kids say things to me like, they'll name a popular song and they'll be like, "Did you hear so and so's song?" Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "That is not so and so's song." Like
Yeah.
that song was written by Aerosmith, or, or something.
Right, right,
And you're
right,
like,
right, right.
whoever your buddy is that said he wrote that is lying, or on the internet or whatever. Um, you know, but to me, so tying that analogy back into what we're talking about, it those kids aren't even being inspired to go pick up a guitar and learn how to do it. Like I've actually watched little kids watch videos of other kids playing with stuffed animals. Like that doesn't like what is that? Right?
Yeah,
There's nothing in my mind that can relate to that.
yeah. I mean, I see two sides of it, right? Like on the one hand, there's that like let's, for lack of a better term, let's call it like reaction style content, right? And if you have kids, in my personal opinion, right, you have kids watching reaction style content in a vacuum, fine. It's just content. But it's what are we going to do? Like I talk about this with my kids, like it's fine to watch another kid play video games within reason, right? Like if you're sitting with your buddies and you're joking around and you're playing video games, you're building bonds in person with other humans, forming friendships, making jokes, like that's great. But if you're watching a reaction video only to just be happy and then go to a different reaction video and only just, it's like there's a ton of risk there. So we don't try to like curate all of their media for them. We try to be intentional about saying, what are you feeling when you experience that? Like watching a reaction video is fun to see if someone else has a reaction that you would have, but let's not confuse that for the act itself, right? If you want to go learn how to play an instrument, like we do guided drawings with the kids. So we'll throw up a YouTube where it's an art teacher who's teaching another kid how to draw a character that is from a popular TV show. And the kids will do it and they'll see the other little kid on screen react to it. And it's like, we want to be really intentional. Like, this is about how you participate in this experience using technology to bring closer. But if you're just using it for the cheap dopamine of, yeah, well, it was cool, so and so reacted this way. And it's like, that is very hollow.
So I completely agree. So let's take that premise and then let's apply it, right? How so if for us with that different mindset, we're intentionally seeking out to find something we love, but the next generation is seeking to find out something they love, which actually their interpretation of love is that dopamine hit that they get from watching
Right.
another kid play a
Exactly.
game. How soon is it before we completely lose the plot, right?
Lose the plot. Totally. I mean, I think we're kind of there. I think that's like the personal responsibility. You have to have conversations like this interpersonally with the people that you love or that you're in relationships about like what are your emotions? Like what are you feeling? Because I think that's how you draw it out. And it seems silly, but there's this Disney movie called Inside Out where the characters are anthropomorphized emotions. So there's a character about joy, and there's a character for anxiety and sadness and all these things. It's one of the most brilliant movies out there for how it arms children to talk about their emotions. And we do this daily with our kids where it's like, hey, when you're watching your tablet, there's nobody at the controls. There is no joy, there is no sadness, there is none of that stuff. You may get like the fake feeling of like it's happening, but those things are on autopilot. You're not getting life from that. You can be cheaply entertained, and that's okay. There's a time, a place, and a duration. But you're not going out and finding something that you're passionate about that you would love so much that you would let it kill you. Right?
So let me ask you this. What we're talking about is instilling in our kids the concept of moderation, right? Of self-discipline. But those concepts come from us having gone through or having had to learn that in the real world without those things
With consequences.
with consequences, right? So how are we even sure that that lesson is landing? And not that it's
Yeah,
not, like I really am,
right.
curious. How do we know that we're actually even, this is gonna another kind of funny analogy, right? But so when I was younger, I used to invite Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses would come to my house, and I would invite them in to talk. And I would just ask them questions, right? And just see what their answers were. And then a lot of times they would take out their Bible and they would want to read me verses from the Bible, and that was cool. So I would grab my Bible and open it to the same verse. And and then we would talk about the verse they just read. And I would ask them very specifically, when you say this word, what does it mean? Right? And then they would walk me through it. And what I realized very quickly was we were both saying the same word and we both meant completely different things by it. I'm not even going to get into this. I don't even know what they call it. Probably one of you guys knows the term, but this garbage vocabulary that these little kids are using these
Oh,
days. I don't know what there's a name for it, but I don't know what it is. And maybe that makes me old, but I'm proud of that because I've never used, the word skibbity toilet in a sentence. I don't like it doesn't like I would discourage my children from using it in a sentence. Um, but it does make me wonder if we're speaking a completely different language, using words that are associated with concepts that we understand to a group of people that have no experience to equate and nothing to tie it back to except our word for it, our description of the concept. It feels like we're being like maybe not us, but maybe us too, but definitely the next generations after us are being robbed of real life experience that gives them a tie into what these concepts are. And these concepts, by the way, are what make up our society, right? A society is a construct. It's a group of people agreeing to live a certain way together, right? We are safe in our country because we believe that police will come and help us if there's a problem. And we all agree that we don't want to go to jail, right? So we do the things that don't cause the cops to be called on us. Right? I mean, that's how that works. If you don't have that frame of reference though, it's just empty words or empty concepts, right? So what is our responsibility as maybe the last generation that actually had real experiences to tie these concepts into? What's our responsibility if we have one?
Mhm. Well, I think it's to our kids, right? Like raising your kids in a way that they do that they value real life experiences and they value living life in neat space, as it's been said before. Give them experiences, go out, do things in reality, like live in reality on reality's terms, and show them the value in that versus the emptiness that's found on not living that kind of life. And surrounding them with, because we are as parents, like I am active in my kids' life, right? I'm active in who they hang out with and who they play with and what they who they're surrounded by, like who their friend group is. I'm very active in because I don't want I can work my whole life to raise a specific kind of kid, and then one little shithead somewhere can ruin. And
It's
it's
a real
true though.
thing. It's a real thing.
They're thinking about that. But, it's one of those things. It's like I'm very intentional with who my kids because yeah, one bad kid who's got a brother who's bad news can do a bunch of damage. It's very
Yeah. And that's such an interesting concept too, right? Because there's helicopter parenting, right? Where your kid doesn't get to breathe, like they're just on your rigid side forever, and then there's, throwing our kid to be raised by wolves and hoping for the best. Most of us are probably coming in somewhere in the middle, of that. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? It's tough to be in a situation where everyone's doing a certain thing, where everything is geared towards that being readily available and accessible to everyone, and trying to explain to your kid, yeah, you're not going to spend time on an iPad even though every one of your friends does and they all are talking about things that you have no idea what they are.
Yeah.
How do you teach them, right, that that's not actual society, like that's not actual relationships?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's two sides of it, right? On the one hand, we all want to ensure that our kids have the right tools to build and grow healthy relationships because we fundamentally believe that is a key pillar for individual success in life. Healthy, strong relationships. The other side of that coin, there is a far more digital world now. And so, in a way, I think you could also make a strong argument to say that, like, whether or not we feel comfortable in that digital world, our children are going to grow up with a bigger skill set and larger risk surface as a result of a far more digital world. So, in my view, we also need to make sure that we're preparing them for how to navigate that. And I still think that that comes down to building strong, healthy relationships with other human beings.
What if
Because
it
where we,
turns out, like, so I agree with that, right? But what if it turns out that that's not really, that doesn't have to be how it is, right? If the path that we seem to be traveling down, it looks to be damaging or detrimental to the future, especially in a generation of people that, like, per this conversation that we've been having, doesn't have the experience to inform how they should go forward. Are Do we have a responsibility to go, hey, you're setting up a future for yourself where there's going to be zero human to human experience, and that digital landscape is going to be complete, and that it will be the death of actual human relationships, period.
yeah.
That's a there's a path that does go down. And but to your point, right, like, it also has to do with where you live. For instance, starting this July, I get to start paying $8 a gallon for gas. Meanwhile,
Have fun.
Jordan's over here laughing his ass off in Georgia because he's
265.
what is it?
265.
Oh my god. Yeah, 265.
gas is too
Um
damn high.
Yeah.
it's too
Who you
high.
vote for?
But but the point to that analogy is that there are places where that may be the inevitability. but there are still places where that's not the current reality, right? And so I'm not saying that in California you don't have just as many options to put down the phone and go outside or stop watching
Right,
TV
right.
because you do have those. But it's the culture of, do you do that, or do you adhere to what everyone else is doing? Are you sitting at a table with 80 of your friends, but all of you are on your phones? Does that count as an actual interactive experience? Does it count as relationships? Is meme sharing really developing those valuable ties that, that would make you consider a relationship that you had with someone that you found something you love and you were ready to let it kill you? We say, oh, I would die for my friends or whatever, but probably not all of them. Like I, I mean, I frankly, I probably have some friends, that it would be like, what?
Not you.
If I survived this and you didn't, I probably could add more to the world going forward. I'm totally kidding. All my friends
The
out
Hunger
there.
Games approves of this message. Yeah, I mean, like I think that it's so complicated that there can't be a right or a wrong. I think like where my brain goes in this whole thing is it's easy to get wrapped up in the immenseness and the velocity of technological advancement and the skills that we built on our own or that were given to us, by our parents or through our communities growing up seem perhaps less relevant in a world that is going to be more technological. But if you look back through time, thousands of years, and we have all of these curated stories about how people search for the meaning of life or what they find that they love so much. And it seems to me that whether you're doing, the Gospels or whether you're looking at Renaissance stories or you're going back into, the 19th century reading literature, there is a common thread about relationships and how we build the humanity of relationships and the technological differences between, the authors of the Gospels and the authors of literary fiction in the 19th century. Those technological differences are so vast, and yet there is still this kernel of building human relationships that has persisted throughout history. And like that's the message I want my kids to get is like I want you to feel like you have the self-confidence and the set of emotional and intellectual and physical tools to go find what you love, go build relationships and love them so much with such intensity and passion that they can kill you.
Yeah, I guess so. That's always been a huge priority for me too, and teaching my kids, to have authentic relationships and to just be authentic people in general. Um, so I've been thinking lately about this idea of casino layouts, and I know it seems like a hard, like we took a hard left, um, but when casinos are built, they are built to be like a maze where you enter a door and you get into the inner side and the inner side is where the casino is. And basically there's usually a wall of like slot machines that kind of hides the doors from your vision so that once you end up inside, you mostly just end up milling around in a circle over and over again. And it's the longer you're there, the more likely you are to sit down and play or have something to eat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that model was very much adopted by the people who have built these social media platforms and these technologies.
100%.
They have figured
Yes.
out ways to draw you in, hide the door
Yep.
behind you, and keep you trapped inside there, right?
Yep.
And I
Yep.
think that the problem here is, without being a Luddite, who just says we're gonna go live in a cave, I mean, and listen, talk to me later. There's nothing wrong with going and living in a cave. Uh, but But I think that it's interesting that I can be on my computer. I'm in a trailer right now, right? Recording a podcast with you guys using this amazing technology, and it's great and I love it. And then I can go outside right now and walk down the street and not even see like telephone lines or not see a screen. There's nature, there's deer walking around. There's bugs flying by. And it looks like it probably has for the last 100 years outside, in this little town I live in. Um, there's a choice, right? We have a choice on how much of that we have to allow in. There are definitely people who have a digital model for how they feel like our society and our culture and our
Right.
planet should go.
Yeah.
But that doesn't have to be where we end up. And so my encouragement to my kids has always been, and I use it as a hashtag too, if you've seen it, turn off the TV and go outside, you know, and again, personal transformations. I've gone through this phase, and I'm not suggesting it for everybody, but I've gone to this place where, like, when I go camping, I don't even sleep in a tent anymore, right? I'm just like outside, sometimes just on top of a sleeping bag, just like out there in it. Because I think that it's important. I think knowing how to make a fire without tools is important. I think knowing how to build a shelter or find water is important. And if the switch gets shut off, right? If we lost power, how many people would be so
Yeah.
desperate or dead in like the
Yeah.
first 10 minutes, right? Because they don't even know where their next meal is coming from, let alone how to secure and build a life without those things.
You
What
want
do
to
you
you want a book that'll freak you out? It's called 1 Second After. Written by a Air Force colonel about an EMP going off in the U.S. or several EMPs, and then he starts going through the statistics of it, and it's like 40% are dead within a week of people,
Jeez.
yeah.
and it's like old people are dead within days. Like people who live in retirement homes are dead, and people who have diabetes are dead. And it's like he starts going through like the percentage of population who has like a drug that they need to survive is very high.
That's
And it starts
awful.
the statistics of it. It's like,
Wow.
but listen to it. We did deposit a couple times. It's just terrifying. They're like, okay, well,
Yeah. Jeez.
it just the food centers stop and food supplies stop and cars stop and technology stops and enjoy your life. And it's just one of these things where you're like, you start very quickly like how untenable a lot of the world we live in is. And even like you mentioned, Rand. So that was a big part of my move out here to Georgia was seeking a different culture for my kids to grow up in, and seeking a different place for my kids to grow up in. And it is the South is a definite different place than California. Like different culture, different people. It's like the Bible Belt is a legit thing. Southern hospitality is a legit thing. Like yes sir, yes ma'am. Like the kids are different here, and the culture is different here, and people actually talk to each other in the grocery store and talk to each other at Starbucks and have conversations. Your head's just not down checking through the line. Like people will actually say hello to you and talk to you and hold the door for you. And it was an active thing my wife and I did. We actively wanted to move somewhere that wasn't California culture and wanted our kids to be raised in a place with other kids and find their spouses maybe in this place and being raised by the people who we more align with socially and are religious, things like that. It's just, it was an active thing that we did. And I looking back, and people are funny now. They're like, "Oh, why would you ever leave California? Why would you move out to Little Georgia?" Is just like,
Yeah.
So, and you've been out there for 2 years now.
Yeah.
And you recently came back for a visit. You brought your kids and your wife with you. I'm interested, was there any sort of feedback from them on how they felt the culture difference having spent 2 years away from California?
well, so it was funny. So Barrett noticed the garbage just everywhere.
Well, that's sad.
Yeah, it's funny. It's true. It's sorry, but it's true. Like you drive down the street here, and there's no garbage in the street or on the freeway. Like even you go into Atlanta, like Atlanta proper, you might see like 15 homeless people. You're like, oh, a homeless person, how quaint. Like, but they're not in every town that you live in and on every street corner.
They didn't build cities?
Yeah, they don't build
Yeah.
cities, but it's like it is, and my kids are starting to acclimate to the yes sir, yes ma'am thing because it's so reinforced here. They expect little kids to speak that way. Usually, at the end of your sentence usually ends with ma'am or sir, and it's and then when they do it, they get called baby by a sweet little old lady who loves the fact of doing it, and it's just and I do it for work all the time. I see people all the time, and I'm out in public, and that's what it is. Like, even people talk to their dogs that way, like "no, ma'am," as like as their dogs are told. It just is what it is, and yeah, my kids definitely notice. They're like they notice like how people are on their phones all the time, like people out at restaurants on their phones, or a table full of people, and that's not
Yeah.
common here. It's people aren't on their phones; they're with each other having conversations and talking because talking is such a huge part of like Southern culture. Everybody wants to
Yep.
talk all the time. And
Such
so
an
you can't
such an interesting observation too when I was there last, and we went to this like what was it like a mountain roller coaster or something, and when we were there, your dogs were tied up in the back of the truck, and they were just like chilling back there while we were going on the and I saw no less than like 30 people walk over and actively and just just love on your dogs. Like people just felt comfortable, like almost a crowd. Oh, they're just over there. It was
Pups.
so it was so fascinating to me. Um, but yeah, just a different place for sure.
yeah, much more intentional. People like actually want to talk to you, actually want to have conversations with you. We'll
That's
start
cool.
up random people start talking to you in the store, like grocery store. If you're like waiting in line, let's just ask you some random question. Or no, it's a really interesting thing that people are just so much more willing to initiate conversation versus just kind of have your head down, looking at your phone, just processing.
So we're coming up on time, but I want to pull it back a little bit back to the quote. So, based on this conversation, do you think it's fair to characterize that quote as also having the potential meaning if you find a way to be a lover, right? You love people, you love each other, then that is worth letting it kill you.
I think so. I think because it speaks to dedication, 100%. Right? Like when you're
And
dedicated to
choice, right?
something, that means totally, and that's what you're going to do for the rest of your life, which is a totally different thing than just like Jordan, you were saying, being a passenger, and I'm going to go until the road is ended. No, I want to choose to be dedicated to the things and the people that I love as long as I possibly can.
Yeah, it's also like a not a self-sacrificial thing, but it's like a giving. Like I don't know, like there's a huge part of it for me is like it's like finding that thing that you love and letting it kill you is kind of like it's like buying in. Is like
Yeah,
be be it a person, be it a hobby, be it a friend, be it whatever. It's like hey, letting them know, like, hey man, like I'm here for the long haul and I want to do this and I want to figure this out and I want to help you get better. I want you to keep showing up. I want you to make this something that's you and changes your life, kind of a thing. It has to be that active, overt kind of decision versus just a, sitting back, your feet up, and kind of just letting things come as they come.
Do you think that that's a once in a lifetime thing?
I don't know. I think as you get older, at least as for myself, like as I've gotten older, I've become kind of more attuned to those opportunities. I think maybe and maybe it's a new place, new me kind of a thing where
Like
it's like
open to love more things or
yeah. I think it's
or
just an
maybe,
age that
or maybe it's a skill thing too.
yeah.
We've developed our skills to the point where it seems easier to us now than it did maybe 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah, and it's just like it's that the intentionality of life. Like I don't know. I want to make the most out of every day that I get, and if I can help people do things, or if I can buy in and make somebody's life better because of my knowledge base or my just attention and
Sure.
my like,
Yep.
what's the harm in it?
absolutely. Well, boys, man, another great conversation. I have so much fun having these with you guys. I truly love both of you, and these conversations are so fun and so mind expanding. And I love getting your perspective on them. So thank you as always. And for everybody out there listening, thank you so much for being here with us. Again, we're just getting started. This is episode number 6. So we are super excited to be on the Spotify platform now. If you haven't had a chance to go check it out, or maybe you're listening on it already, but go add us to playlists, go share us out, get this message out. These conversations are really cool, and we would love to share them with as many people as we can. So thank you so much. Check us out on Rumble, check us out on Spotify, check us out on Instagram and TikTok. And until next week, this has been Sweeter After Difficulty. Chris, Jordan, thank you so much.
So yeah.